Look at what we have here, everybody. My next guest is making his return to the Productive Conversations podcast. He is the creator and founder of the Bronx Zoo, the number one Yankee fan club in the entire world, and it's only growing from there. So it's a great time to catch up with the great Jake Kosack of the Bronx Zoo. Jake, great to see you again, buddy.
Matt, great to be back on. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure. So our first time we spoken since August. I feel like a lot has changed already in that short amount of time, both personally, professionally.
Well,
So
yep.
why don't we just start it off with how you doing, what you've been up to, what regarding with you personally and the brand first, and then we can let that branch off into
Yep.
some other things.
Yeah, look, I mean, since we talked, the Bronx Zoo has, I feel like doubled. I mean, in
Yeah.
popularity, in the fan base, in followers, and things like that. We had an amazing end of the year last year. It did not end how we wanted, so I can't say it
Mm-hmm.
was spectacular. But the for a personal brand aspect, the Bronx Zoo thrived in the playoffs. um, the late
Mm-hmm.
September push with Aaron Judge going for 62, and then when we I traveled to Cleveland, I traveled to Houston. Um, I could give you some insight there. I told the fans that I would do anything to make sure I was at every game, and when I said anything, I meant that. And we went seven. We went Tuesday when Aaron Judge was chasing 62. We went to the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday game. And I had
Yeah,
to travel in between then, but we were at every game and he didn't hit it, but we were
that's
there
right.
for it. So that was the end of September, and then he hit it away. So by the time
Right against Texas.
and yep, in Texas, and we ended up going to the game. It was against Baltimore, but he still didn't do it at home. So that was the end of the year, and I was getting tired. I was getting a little
Mm-hmm.
run down, I think you could say, but I knew that the playoffs were coming, so I had a little bit of time before we started the ALDS because of the wild card. Had a
Right.
couple days to kind of get healthy, and
Mm-hmm.
just bring me back now to a. I mean, when I tell you October was arguably the greatest 3 weeks of my life. It
Mm-hmm.
was so fun last year. We and it was a lot of work. We started at home game one, which happened to be on my birthday, October 11th. My sister presented.
Really?
Yep, it was my birthday is in October, so I think that's pretty fitting.
Isn't that as meant to be as it can? And correct me if
Yep,
I'm wrong. You said you were born in 1996, right?
I was.
So like literally right in that
I don't want to say I'm the
realm.
reason. I don't want to say it, but it's pretty coincidental.
Do
I
you
mean,
do you happen to know if they played the playoff game that day? Like,
so I do
was
know that during the World Series, my dad had me on his lap, and I was up and awake watching the games. That's what they tell me.
that counts?
That I was up, and they said I was watching that screen. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, so game one we won. It was a very very crazy crowd outside, crazy in a positive way. I don't want we
Right.
weren't out of control. It was just a large crowd, and the crowds were growing. Then we went back for game two, and I brought my bags with me because I had to go straight to Cleveland. Game
Hmm.
two, we lost.
Yep.
Still got some good stuff out of it, optimistic stuff. But I, as you know, I did the entire Bronx Zoo on my own dime, on all of it, my own money. So I was trying to save where I could. So I bought a bus ticket to Cleveland, and I got to the bus station at
Dedication.
11:30 at night, and they canceled my bus.
Oh,
I went, what? And I looked at flights, and it was like four times the amount of money. If I had to do it, I would have done it, but I found that one more train that I would have missed game three. So instead of doing game three, we already lost. So I knew it wouldn't be the game we clinched or anything. I said, okay, there's going to be a game four. Got on that train. Of course, it got delayed. We stopped in Albany, Syracuse, Buffalo. I got to Cleveland at I know this might be a little bit long-winded. I'm just kind of
no,
describing.
no, keep going, man. We pay for the limited Zoom for a reason, and I'm enjoying it. So keep going.
So we got to Cleveland at this is the first time I think I'm fully telling the story on a show too. So we got
All
to
right.
Cleveland at 4 a.m. It was a 14-hour train ride. Um, I didn't sleep, of course, because I had to watch Clark Schmidt blow that game in
I
Cleveland.
remember
So
I remember I was there too. I was on a what was it bad? A first date that didn't work out. And
yep.
when I was paying for it, and then I literally see on the corner of my eye, wow, they really blew this. What a great night.
Yeah, it was, and it really like at that point, you don't want, you believe in the team, but we're down 2-1. I'm on my way to Cleveland. I couldn't sleep, so I didn't sleep for, I think I got about 40 minutes of sleep, maybe an hour within a 40-hour span, because I got to Cleveland at 4 a.m. I thankfully I knew the city of Cleveland. I knew where I should check out, where I could
Hmm.
kind of hang out, but the game wasn't
Oh
till
my.
7 o'clock at night. So I went to if you know Cleveland, there was the city center, and then there was a Starbucks that finally opened at 9. I slept a little bit in the train station, and then I went
Hmm.
to a Starbucks and fell asleep there at the table for about 19 minutes. I ended up going to City Center. I'm like, all right, not going to sleep, I guess here. I walk around, wait. I had this was cool. I had a camera guy that was just a fan of the zoo. I put on, hey, I need help in Cleveland. Can someone come help me?
And he
And
just happened to be there, huh?
Matt Eppley took the 2-hour drive from Toledo, Ohio to come help the Bronx Zoo out. So that's the type of fans we got. So we
That's what I love to hear.
kind of wrap this up. I waited 12 hours for that game to start. Finally did the game. We did it before the game, the zoo, watched the game, started raining. Then we win that game 4, which means the Yankees play in the Bronx the next day.
Oh yes.
I jump on that bus at 1 a.m. in Cleveland. I get to Pittsburgh at 6 a.m. I transfer. I take a stop in Philly by noon. I am in Newark, New Jersey by around 4 o'clock. I get to New York at 5. I brush my teeth and stuff in like a Chipotle, kind of get ready, go straight to Yankee Stadium. The game gets rain delayed till the
Yeah.
next day for game 5. So kind of gave me some leeway because I had my flight booked with one of my best friends, Eddie, to Houston.
Hmm.
So do the game the next day, get to Yankees. Oh, my sister, shout out Kayla, helped bring me. I had to get my stuff for Houston, met her in White Plains, New York. Then I went down to the stadium and game 5 happens. And when I tell you it was the most magical night ever, game 5, the crowd that, kind of built up for the Bronx Zoo, it felt like an accumulation of all the hard work. I mean, we had thousands of people chanting with us, and
That's
it,
right. And it was a day game too. Get an
it was
old
a
school
day
vibe.
game that ended at 7. So it was still nighttime when the game ended.
Hmm.
So I think it worked out perfectly, but it was a big crowd. And then we hung out in Billy's, but from there, jump on a flight to Houston at 6 a.m. So where do we sleep? The airport. So that was that kind of days. And then of course, we don't want to talk about that series. We lost it and
Hmm.
all, but we got
Tough
to
sweep.
Houston, got some great stuff out there. And now we're back. Opening day, Bronx.
Look at that, Jake. Well, we appreciate you sharing that. We're definitely getting some good reels from this story for sure. And wow, your dedication is admirable, Jake. And let me ask, I know you mentioned you were really tired and exhausted, but what did you have inside you to keep pushing through for all this and, sleeping in possible unknown places? Like, what if there was an evil Houston fan who was going to kidnap you and then restart the Houston jungle or something? Like,
You
what
know,
keeps you
they,
inside you to keep moving like that? You were saying?
yeah, in Houston we had a hotel, so
Oh,
that
okay.
was good. But Cleveland. So it's actually funny. I was in Philadelphia the weekend before, so I was in Philly, Houston, Cleveland,
Hmm.
Pittsburgh, New York that whole month of October. I had to do something separate from the zoo in Philadelphia, which was really cool, and I ended up taking Amtrak down. I took a bus down, Amtrak back, and I ended up having a lot of time to kill. And those who know me, I love Philadelphia because Rocky's my favorite movie in the world, and I
Oh,
think
yeah.
I'm Rocky in real life. So I was at the Rocky Steps. I walked around, um, went to Gino's, which a couple weeks later I went back to
Hmm.
Philly. Shout out Gino's cheesesteaks. I walk up to the window and someone goes, Jake, Bronx Zoo? And I was just like, the Bronx Zoo? And I was mind blown that someone knew me.
Yeah.
It totally shocked me. So shout out Geno's. But I walked around that whole day, and then I got for the first time I've been to the Rocky Steps a bunch. So I get back at night to the Rocky Steps, which is something I never did. And
Mm.
you tie this into the motivation. I had for the first time in my life the entire staircase to myself, and
Oh.
not a single person was there for about 10 minutes. And I'm standing at the top, not a person in sight, not many cars going by, and had a lot of time to reflect on everything that happened up until that point before the playoffs started.
Mhm.
And I went into that playoffs and I said, I've worked very hard. People know that. People know, and I know the zoo knows that we're working hard. But I said to myself, I truly don't want to be someone who is doing this and then just forgotten about. I want to
Mm.
truly make this something that's a staple. From the beginning, I've had the zoo in mind as a staple, as much as anything you've ever seen in Monument Park. I want to be the staple outside of the stadium. So I got a lot of time to look, into myself and say, you know what? I the Tiger, baby. Let's get this done. And I said, you're going to be exhausted. You're going to be running on fumes. And even when I got to Cleveland at like 4 in the morning, I had my headphones on, just started "I the Tiger" on repeat, literally. And I think there's a video of me in the Cleveland Amtrak station, just "I the Tiger." I wanted to win, and that hunger, that desire, it's just my love of the team and my love of plain and simple. I'm gonna be honest. I don't want it to fail. I don't have plan Bs. I've never had a plan B in my life. I think it's pointless. It means that you don't believe in your plan A. And for me to know that the Bronx Zoo was successful, I needed it to continue to thrive and even follow up on that in the off season, which I think we did very well with meeting a lot of Yankees, a lot of players.
That's right. Saw you at the various conventions.
Yep.
And
Baseball camps, just in time baseball camp, shout out. So that's where it all comes from, that I have, it never turns off. My mind's I can't go out and have just a good time like anyone else. It in the back of my mind, it's why am I not doing something to further the zoo? You can ask anyone that. It's always running in the back of my mind.
yeah, and we could really show from your passion and your ambiance and the vibe you're giving that this is true. And you're really showing what if it's really meant to be and that it's okay. You know, what I share similar passion with what I want to do with productive conversations and making this a legitimate brand. I'm sure you especially could connect with this, but the way, somebody asked me recently what keeps you motivated. I say I'm like a racehorse. If you notice, racehorses have their eyes closed usually or covered when they're running
Okay.
because they only focus running straight and they don't care about the other horses. That's really what people like us have to do. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what the other people are doing, like in my case, influencers or content creators, or you as well for other people trying to create a fan base.
Yeah.
And
I like
it's
that a
just
lot. That's
knowing
good.
you. Yeah, and that I forgot where I heard that from, but it's always stuck with me and it'll forever stick with me. And I appreciate speaking with someone like minded like that.
Absolutely. I could see it in you. I mean, you've reached out multiple times. I like your background, like I said before. And
Thank you, man.
I
I
mean
can't
that
wait.
you bring up a good point. Not focusing on what's on the other side of you, running straight. And I think that's really important as well. I think Yankee content creators, there are so many great ones.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm never worried about like, oh, I gotta beat another person out. I gotta make sure I'm doing better than this person. Everyone can do well. I'm not here to everyone should succeed, but I want to make sure that I'm doing something different. I want to be unique. And
Right.
I'm never worried about what's happening around. And I feel like there's so many, podcasts out there, right? So it's like there's too much to be worried about at this point. There might be
For
different
sure.
trying to join in the game, but there's room for everyone, but there's only, in my opinion, there's room for everyone, but the great stuff stands out when you're really focused on just trying to be the best that you can be. So,
Right. And making your own loyal audience too.
yep.
And as long as of course, who wouldn't love to have like, Joe Rogan numbers or part of my take. And is that's definitely not impossible either. But as long as you focus on yourself and have your core growing like that, It's gonna pan out, and as long as you're having fun with it and proving your worth, and again, just focusing on your own path and don't focus on the other ones because it will drive you nuts. And especially once we're growing, when you have internet commenters for the first time, like this first time when I really like covered the NFL season, saw a lot of feedback that was just the internet trolls, and like really the first time, like we had one video hit about 50,000 views. It was a failed Super Bowl prediction, and it was the first. It was mostly Kansas City fans just destroying me and my collaborators, and it was the first time like I really, wow, this is some horrible stuff. But then I realized, wow, this shows that we're doing it right. And if I have some random person in Kansas City trying to bring me down, how are we going to move forward with it? I'm sure you have found a similar path with not only getting all this great positive feedback, but I'm sure you've got on the other side too, because it's only natural part of the game.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely. And people know, you know, there's I've never had a bad interaction on the zoo once. I really haven't. And
Mhm.
even in Houston and other cities, I mean, people trolling me in person, but I get tons of I guess you would call it hate, but I
Yeah,
don't. I truly, I mean, ever since I was a kid, I never cared what other people thought. I still don't care what other people think. I care what I think of myself, and I know when I'm doing this that I'm trying to be a great person to everyone. It's all in good fun. It's all in good humor. I like to be funny. I try to be funny. And I
I think you
know,
pull it off.
thank you. But I try to, first and foremost, I want to be known as a good guy. I want to be a good person. I want to be nice to people. I want to show everyone I meet respect. And if I get things of hate, and also I'm good, I think, at fighting it back. If you see our TikTok comments and things
Oh
like
yeah,
that,
you're very witty. It's all you. That's what you have to learn. You just attack the wit with the wit.
yeah, and I mean, like, look, half the time, this is my best advice to any content creators that feel like they're getting a lot of hate. Learn to defend it, learn to ignore it because it doesn't really matter. They're still adding to your view count, right? They don't even
Yep.
realize all the time they're commenting, and it just helps you. And most importantly, I guess you could say, uh, lost my train of thought. The when you after you ignore it, and then I mean, oh, for I was saying this the other day to someone. I I know I'm going out there. I say it with the balls to say it in front of people's faces in Houston and Mets and Red Sox. I'm
Mhm.
saying it in person. I'm not hiding behind a computer screen. I'm doing it right there and then
Right.
exactly. So like I know like I'm not hiding behind a computer screen. I'm saying exactly what's on my mind in person. And if people don't like that, they just don't like honest people or people that just can't take a joke. So hate is literally meaningless and pointless, and you can't worry about it.
Couldn't have said it any better, Jake. And again, you only help our engagement scores by doing that, and you
Yeah,
really, and it helps thicken our skin, and that you just know you're doing something right when you get the other side, and enjoy it. Maybe you can even learn something from it. Why don't
and
we hit
a
on?
lot of a lot of people who are like trolling and stuff, they're having fun with it too. They're not
Yeah,
trying to a lot of the time they're not trying to be cruel. They're just trying to be exactly what I'm doing, or they're trying to be funny. So a lot of people, 90% of the time in my experience, are just trying to get people to laugh.
right.
So
And it is good to get the conflict. That's what progresses these stories. So we appreciate all feedback. Just don't get personal with it, and we'll be okay. So why don't we
that's
hit
okay.
on?
People make fun of my hair all the time when I have my hair cut and stuff. So
Hey
it's
man,
okay.
you know how to rock a solid. You have the Yankee
That's right.
symbol in the back
Yeah,
there.
the Bronx Zoo. It's okay. It's too long right now, but got the hat on. But
Plan on bringing it back a few times this season.
yeah, we got a couple of cool ideas that I think people are gonna like when it comes to my hair. We got some content ideas that we're gonna do in the
All right,
Bronx. So stay tuned.
I'm excited for that. So why don't we hit on the Yankees right now at this moment? Go a
Yep,
little
let's
bit
check.
on them. So right now it's the end of August. Sorry, August. Oh, the end of April. Yankees been doing fine. Try to get the jitters, figuring out what's going on. You know, for every solid pit, we've had injury problems. What is new? We've had underperforming pitchers not trying to figure out who our identity is really. But on top of that, you have the Tampa Bay Rays, who are having one of the greatest starts of all time. And even though again it's still early in the season, you still have to, watch out and lots going on there. So the first thing I should ask here, actually, um, just quickly back with the offseason so far. First, how did you feel when Aaron Judge re-signed with the Yankees? Did you have any doubt at all?
No, not if you follow any of the Bronx Zoo stuff, there was not a single doubt in my mind that he'd be back in pinstripes. All the signs were there. It was evident the Yankees weren't going to let him go. No team in my mind made sense. Like San Francisco, I mean, he was from not even the city of San Francisco. Just that was the team he liked, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but Aaron Judge is a winner. That's his mentality. Why is he going to go to a team that's not even close to competing for a championship? It never. And I mean, maybe the Padres, but uh, he's a Yankee. He was always a Yankee, and you could tell that meant something to him. Not a doubt in my mind. I knew Rizzo was coming back because once Rizzo came back, it was obvious Judge was coming
Right.
back. Like best friends in that clubhouse. And then, the Rodon one, I wouldn't say I expected. I was pleasantly surprised. It was a great move, even though he started the season injured. I know a lot of people thought that we didn't make a significant improvements offensively,
Mm-hmm.
but I thought Volpe, like if you knew any of our stuff, I was saying that Anthony Volpe should have been called up last August, should have been the starting shortstop in the ALCS. I knew he would be the move. I knew it was obvious he was ready. The way he tore up AAA and AA last year, it was
That's
evident
right.
he was going to be playing shortstop opening day. I don't even know why they even said it was competition. He was the guy. I mean, Peraza is amazing as well. I would not have been surprised if he got the starting job. It was okay. Backtrack. Maybe it was a little bit of a competition between Volpe and Peraza, but whoever had the better spring was getting that job. And I think that the number one pick, New Jersey, the story was there, right? The Yankees saw the marketing uh, potential with that local guy becomes a Yankee. I think they were hoping that Peraza and Volpe would be the middle in the infield because, of course, Peraza's had great success. So I think they saw Volpe shortstop and Peraza third base in the future, and they wanted them both up. So I thought those two guys were going to be on this team no matter what. And it took some injuries for Peraza to get there. But I think you're looking at the future two upgrades right there, Peraza and Volpe. And those were the moves. So yeah, offseason took a couple different turns, but I think yeah, it would have been nice to maybe get one more bat. I wanted Brian Reynolds heavily, but I love Oswaldo out and left, and he extended today. Brian Reynolds, of course, so I
I
think
saw
he's
that.
there in Pittsburgh. Only other moves I thought would have been beneficial, maybe a Craig Kimbrell or David Robertson. They went with Tommy Kahnle, which was good when he gets back. I think he'll be beneficial. But yeah, I think the offensive upgrades were Volpe and Peraza.
Right. And also just the last point with the Judge with the that night where we seen Arson Judge and all of that. Can you walk me through your experience with it?
I absolutely can. So it was December 6th
Mhm.
at 5:30 because I just finished editing a video trying to I believe yeah, it was about Aaron Judge. It was about a free agent signing that I got outside Madison Square Garden. I just finished editing it around 5:20. I exported to my phone. It's my grandfather's birthday. We're walking out the door. I'm about to drive him and my cousin to the restaurant where we're meeting the rest of the family. And I get on Twitter and I saw the tweet within a minute, like 45 seconds.
Oh, like literally perfect picking the phone up. Bam.
Perfect. And I went, what? I went, this is no way this is happening. And of course, I felt bad because it's my grandpa's birthday, and I'm so distracted on the car ride.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I post the video I just made about Aaron Judge going to the back to the Yankees who'll resign, and the whole dinner I was distracted. I'm trying to be engaged. Thankfully my whole family was there, so there were plenty of people to talk to. But I'm in disbelief. I'm like, there's no way that Aaron Judge isn't coming back to the Yankees. And then of course it got retracted fairly easy. And then when he signed, um, it was around 4 in the morning. The official announcement, I believe, came out around 8.
Yes.
I, but I think that the agreement came at 4, but I woke up for some reason. I don't remember why, but I was up early and I saw that announcement right when it came out. So and then I go right to the TV and say, "Is this true? Is this real?" So maybe the tweets came out a couple hours, but like everyone was sleeping. So I woke up. MLB Network's coverage started right when I woke up. So like they scrambled to get people on air to talk about it, and right when I was already ready for them to start talking about it. So that was my experience during the winter meetings.
Yeah, what a special day, and for me, I mentioned the first time we talked, I have this group chat that's mostly Met fans, and I'm always defending it.
That spectator.
And right. And pretty much, they're having their crazy off season and literally every single day is a debate, Yankees, Mets.
Yep.
And I'm one of the biggest judge fans of all time. I have that Instagram pic of me posting on his MLB debut, which is like August 29th or something.
Yep.
And yeah, pretty much when that happened, you see the ultimate Met trolls. We got him, and me as I said with you, as you just said with me, I'm just in disbelief. This guy wouldn't do that for his legacy. I really don't think he would do this to disappoint and put a sour taste in everybody's mouth. And then as we saw, I was attracted. Just kept checking the news that night. Then I go into I'm a really early gym riser, so I went to
Love
the
it.
gym at 6. Got back at 7:30, and basically my tradition, when I in Jersey, where I live in Jersey City, have to take a Via to the path, which is just this local car service instead of the $15 Uber, and they're always a half an hour late. So I'm sitting on my couch just waiting. Also, hopefully, I wasn't going to be late for work. But
Mhm.
then I had the group chat with the podcast collaborators I have. Great Alex Young, the nicest Met fan I know, said, "See, it wound up working out. It's official." He was the one who told me.
Yep.
Then you dive down, and it just starts this great era of the second half of Judge's career. But that was some roller coaster. And as you said, you wish they would add a little bit more, but it looks like the Yankees are going with the homegrown guys and proving something.
Well,
And we,
one more thing to add too. I always said on my TikTok live since about July of last year, and I have a voice recording somewhere of me saying it. And I went back and listened to it. It might have been a live or something, but I saved it because I wanted to be right about it. And I said he was going to get 8 years, 360 mil, but he got 9 years and 360 mil. So I got the money right, but I got 1 year off, and I was also so close.
and so far so good. We hear that he's been very generous with the cast. You
Yep.
heard about him getting Volpe his
Oh,
suit and
awesome.
all that stuff. It's great to see Judge give back. And, also sticking with Volpe, is really you know, not a rough start at first, but just progressing. He's 21 years old. He
Yep.
just can start drinking a beer if he wants legally.
That's right. Yeah.
But I feel like that he's taken what's the word I'm looking for? So many people are just so invested in Volpe right now, and they seem to follow his every move, even to a point where I think that it's a little bit overhyped, only for his sake, because being compared to Derek Jeter right away at 21, that's some big shoes to fill. And I always tell people just let him cook. But
Mhm.
that's also, I think, taking a little bit of the pressure from the big names like Judge as well, because Soko is on Volpe, and it seems at the moment so far he's been handling, the ups and downs of being a major leaguer and the criticism so far. And, he's starting to tear it up a little bit, a few areas here and there, but again, there's still plenty of time left and it's still early April, and I think he's made a pretty substantial start. I'm sure you agree.
Yeah. I mean, look, I it would be unfair to think he's going to be hitting 400, 5 home runs, 50
Yeah.
stolen bases in April, right? He is showing what he's going to do step by step. The stolen bases, which this team has drastically needed, the potential for a high contact bat instead of power with some power, and clearly with some stellar defense. And to have that. We haven't heard about complaints about defensive at shortstop this year, which is very nice. We have had some up and downs the past couple years, and that's not to throw digs at any other players, but it's just how it was. We got a lot of
Yeah.
complaints about defense at short. So to see him thrive defensively is helping him. Yes, his average is low, but we've seen what he can do. We've seen his swings progress. We've seen his attitude. And I think the best thing for him, which we've seen many pictures of, is he is right there with the captain of New York, Aaron Judge, in his ear. On the other side is future Hall of Famer Giancarlo Stanton, who
Top
has
pick.
handled New York media better than anyone I've almost ever
Seriously.
seen in my life besides Derek Jeter. I mean, that guy is a master, just up there with Aaron Judge, of how to handle New York media. It's incredible. I mean, yes, he's injured a lot, but he is a good player. He is a Hall of Fame player. If he can get out another 150, 200 home runs, it might be a stretch. I think he has good years left in him, but he
Yeah.
has put Hall of Fame career up together up until this point. I mean, and then my
And he's
guy,
clutch in the postseason as well.
very close in the postseason. And then you have Garrett Cole, who handles media as a pitcher phenomenally. And then you got Anthony Rizzo, who is the guy in my eyes that's just unbelievable at every aspect. At first base, who has won a World Series with Chicago. He was the face of 2016 baseball. He was the captain essentially of the Cubs that whole run that he had. And then you got DJ LeMahieu, who is just the machine at second or third. I mean, you have Rizzo and LeMahieu as his anchors in that infield, and a former MVP with Donaldson. I mean, I understand the frustrations with Donaldson, but anyone who knows me knows I'm a big fan. Still, I think he has a lot left to offer in this league, and I think what he has to offer, maybe most of all, is his attitude and his experience. And when you could pass down from a Anthony Rizzo, a Josh Donaldson, a DJ LeMahieu, an Aaron Judge, and a Giancarlo Stanton to help form the player that Anthony Volpe will be, I mean, there's no better group to do that than those guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's like when we're talking about baseball on a decades perspective, you have like five of the top 10 faces of baseball right there. And yeah, you can't be in a better situation with Volpe, and he's always smiling. He's one of
Yep.
the most contagious smiles you can have, and that's only going to get better, especially with you. And you know how brutal the media and the fans can be. And I was going to ask too. I understand Josh Donaldson has taken a lot of the brunt of it since he's come on, and Aaron Hicks has faced a lot of criticism himself. And what do you think they could do? You still believe in Josh Donaldson, and I even think he can do it as well. Just waiting for him to come back. But Aaron Hicks, it's tough to watch him sometimes, and I really think a lot of it is mental with him as well. Well, what do you think if given the chance left with them, what do you think they could do to really save face, hopefully save on the roster? And do you think they have the ability to turn it around? And you mentioned John Carl Stanton, he's a perfect example of that. Like he's gotten the worst of the worst. And
Mhm.
it seems like those two players are getting a lot of it. And some I do think understandably so. Some I think is a bit excessive, but anything upsets a New York fan really. But what can they do so we can make sure they can overcome it, and we don't want to see like a Joey Gallo situation
Yeah.
and literally boot out of town. But
Well,
nice to see him turn up in Minnesota for.
yeah, look, some guys just can't handle it. I mean, the New York fans have absolutely every right to get upset. If you know me,
Mm,
I'll never bash a Yankee. It's just not in me. I can't do it. I'll never boo a Yankee, but I understand why people do. I mean, can't they pay for the product on the field? They want to see their
yeah,
money be succeeding. But to Josh Donaldson, I think Donaldson and Aaron Hicks are a little different because Donaldson, his glove last year was phenomenal, and there's no
yeah,
denying. But Aaron Hicks, look, um, my personal opinion is that Oswaldo needs to be the everyday left fielder. I don't think there's any reason because his glove is there. His glove is there, and once his bat improves, he is an everyday left fielder. I think taking a bats away from him is only hurting him.
right.
Um, Aaron Hicks at this point, the best thing I can tie it into is I was watching Moneyball the other day, And there's a scene with Billy
Great
Bean
movie.
where he talks to David Justice. And David Justice is like, "Oh, you don't need to come talk to me. I've never seen a GM talk like this." And Billy Bean basically says to him in that movie, "I'm not paying you for the player you used to be. I'm paying for who you are now. Basically, go, do what you can, but be an example for the younger guys." And I think of Aaron Hicks as that bench presence that Marwin Gonzalez was last year. And we have a bench of Aaron Hicks and IKF who can do something off the bench. I think that the starting role needs to go to Oswaldo. And I think that Aaron Hicks is a good baseball personality. He's a cool guy, right? So it's like you want to see him succeed, but I think if he can just, help teach Oswaldo, teach the younger players, that's his biggest uh contribution.
Yeah, well, that's what he can offer at this point.
And I mean, like, if he can have put together some great at bats, awesome. But I think what he uh is now is that veteran who can give a lot of experience to these rookies. And I mean, who knows how the season will go if his production is continuously declining. They might have to make a harder move, such as the Madison Bumgarner move in Arizona, which was a bold move, if you ask me. So I don't know where this will go with Aaron Hicks, but I wish him the best because I think he was a great player a few years ago. He has had a lot of injuries and he's a cool guy. So I don't want to sit here and say kick him off the team, but we'll
Mhm.
see where.
For sure. Make the most of what you have left. And, baseball's a tough sport, mentally,
Very tough.
physically. And, you know, that's the best you could do. And it'll go a long way. And players remember that. Remember Derek Jeter, not Randy said, but he said one of his favorite players, or I should say one of his favorite teammates ever was Tim Raines, who obviously was a big deal in Montreal. Heard him in an interview and finished career out with the Yankees. He just played
96.
that mentorship role and just never forgot him. Tim Raines is a Hall of Fame himself, and we need Aaron Hicks to take over that role and be the mentor, the leader, the Yoda in that sense.
I mean, Aaron Hicks has made some uh, incredible catches in the outfield. I mean, I'm thinking of that one against Minnesota a couple years
Yeah,
ago. He's had some good moments. I mean, we can't just sit here and you brought up Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo couldn't handle New York, and I'm sorry
it was
to
bad.
say it was basically the fans' fault. I mean, I know I'm changing what he said, but that's kind of the impression we were supposed to take away from that interview. That like, oh, we made it so hard. New York fans are pretty happy to please. Try your hardest, don't complain, and do something. I mean,
You're
that's
never
all.
gonna win if you go against the fans. You will never win, no matter who
Never
you are.
win that because I mean, we expect a successful product, and like I said, I'll never bash a Yankee. I will never tear anyone down because there are plenty of people out there to do it. But we there are three aspects of a team. I'll continue to say it. There are the owners, there are the players, and there are the fans. That's what it comes down to. We each have an equal part in that because the players play on the field, the owners put everything together, and it is our money that is putting that product on the field. And never get that confused.
Never ever. And one other player I want to talk to you about, Gleyber Torres.
Yeah.
There have been rumors that he may be on the block. He
Mm-hmm.
had a really hot start to the season, cooled off a little, but we all know that he is one of the most clutch bats in the entire league. What do you think the Yankees are going to wind up doing with Gleyber?
I think Glaber, he has hot streaks. He has some cold streaks. I think Glaber is here. I don't think at this point the injuries that we've had, I don't think you'd just be trading away guys that can help when injuries go down.
Yeah.
It never hurts to have a big bench. It never hurts to have guys that you can put in different spots when guys go down. Um, Glaber's here to stay. We have some guys in the minors that are looking pretty good. I know there's options involved there, but I think that a lot of the Yankees' success the past couple years has been from using what we have already. I mean, when you think of trades, it's not like we're making major trades. We made the trade for Rizzo. We made the trade for Gallo. Didn't give up many major pieces in that, and of course, the Rizzo trade turned out phenomenal. But when you think about the Yankees, it's not like we're making blockbuster trades in the past several years like we were. I mean, DJ was a free agent signing. Donaldson and IKF was obviously with Gary Sanchez, but that seemed like more of a trade of, Gary Sanchez was struggling.
Yeah, it's your problem. Let's trade our problems.
See if we could change. I mean, Gio was a part of that. I thought that was
Oh, don't
at the
you miss
time that
seeing him?
he was great. He was great. But I mean, basically, you swapped his great glove with Donaldson's great glove. So did it hurt the Yankees to not have them, Gio and Gary? I wouldn't say that exactly because we ended up having platinum gold winner uh, Jose Trevino. So that worked out. And
That's right.
Donaldson had a great glove. I do love Gio. I did love Gary. But at the time, the trade makes sense. But besides those trades, I mean, Yankees solve a lot of their problems from within. Now at the deadline, we make the moves for Benintendi, we make it for Montez. Doesn't work out like we want. Benintendi was a great move. Wouldn't have been mad if they re-signed him. But I think at this deadline, you're going to see a move that will make a lot of sense for at the time when we're struggling. So last year was Benintendi. We needed an extra outfield bat. What we're dealing with at the deadline, we're going to make a big move. If we're in
Yeah.
contention this time, I really believe that. I think the biggest name that you're going to see on the block is, if they're not in third place minimum, is Ohtani. Do I think he goes to the Yankees?
Oh man.
Would I be surprised? A little bit. I think he's going to end up, I mean, trade wise, he could go to the, who knows, Yankees, Mets, anyone. But I think he will end up signing with the Dodgers. I think they saved a lot of money in the past couple of years very quietly to acquire him in free agency. But you're going to see some big names on the block. Uh, who at this point, I don't know, because those extra wild card spots change things up. But you're
Right.
going to see some interesting people join those conversations.
Yeah, and it's been a long time. We're almost next year's gonna be 15 years. We're at the year 14 since that World Series. I think we've waited long enough with these trial and tribulations.
Yeah.
And I do think we trust Cashman, even though I admit have been definitely a critic. But what could we say at this point? He's here to stay, and he's proven that he can have teams compete. But as we say, part of what baseball is, especially in this game, sometimes you have to have the ball fall in your way. You need to have a blooper go right in front of you, and you need the wind to pull the ball a certain way over the fence. And yeah, maybe this time, especially if we have, once Rondon finally comes on, if he could tear it up, hopefully Sevy comes back at some point this season to show what he can offer. But I think it's definitely time to really get that big, big bat in there. And we'll ultimately see. It is, like I said, it's still April, but it's time for us to really take advantage. And especially with Houston, you don't know what they really are at the moment. And that's obviously been our Achilles heel. And, who knows if Altuve is going to be the same after his hand injury. You have to hit while the iron is hot.
I mean, right now, I think the most concerning thing is we don't know what's going on anywhere. I
Yeah,
mean, if
right.
you asked anyone who would be arguably the worst teams in baseball, they would have said probably the Pirates. They would have
Mm-hmm.
brought up the Diamondbacks. I mean, you're here with the Rays, who people thought as third or fourth place, and they're in first. You have the Twins, who the people I guaranteed Guardians. I mean, what did the Twins really? Yeah, they got Lopez, which was a great move, and re-signed Correa. But I think people thought, oh yeah, Guardians are going to run away with that division again, the way they were that hot hand they had last year. And then you're looking at the AL West, and after what Seattle did last year, you knew the Rangers got DeGrom. You knew they got Seager, but oh crap, here are the Rangers. They're here to play. So it's like that, I think, is the most concerning part. It's like who's real, who's not, who's
Mm-hmm.
really in this. I mean, we're at the end of April, and middle of May, end of May, early June is when you really start. Okay, this
Yeah.
team's legitimate. So we got a couple more weeks to go, but it's not like anyone's running besides the Rays right now. Anyone's running away with a sure thing, and that could change. I mean, we got 6 games against the Rays in the next month. That could change very quickly. Uh,
And
so
remember, the schedule's a lot different now too. You don't play the division as much as you did. You play every single team in at least one series, including the National League. And yeah, especially when you finally see those division games, they matter as much as they matter the
Absolutely.
most. So take advantage of it. And I think the Mets are a perfect example from last year, a team that could not have more momentum, could not have a better owner situation, could not have everything was right, and they just collapsed in the final week of the season and they just couldn't take advantage. They were winded and lost against San Diego. I think this shows now that these teams need to, figure out who they are. And like you said, Memorial Day, we should know what's going on.
Yeah. I think the Braves, I think they're the team that this year in that division. I think with Harper being out again, long term, I think the Phillies are going to be in it. I mean, I hope so because it's fun to watch them play, especially with Turner now. But I think the Braves have a real chance to run away with that division. It's not to tear down the Mets. I thought if the Mets got Correa, I think they might run away with that division, right? So
Yeah,
it's like I think that was the one thing they're missing, one more big bat. Now they're looking at their two top prospects to fill that hole. But you get a guy like Correa, you get a guy like Trey Turner. I mean, they might run away, but I mean the Braves, Acuna, Riley, Sean Murphy now, Matt Olson, they're that phenomenal rotation. Ozzy, they got a great team and they continuously uh, cycle through losing players but finding new ones. And I think that they're always going to be a threat in that division.
that's the key, especially more than ever, building those farm systems. And you have to give credit to Houston with who do that, who have done that, and there's a reason why they're always in the ALCS and the World Series. And
Absolutely.
we've seen this Yankee team lose four playoff series against us since 2015. And you just hope maybe fifth time's a charm. Been a
It's
long
gonna
time.
happen. It's gonna happen. One day we will win that series. It's
Yeah.
going to happen. So that's the only thing you got to hold out hope for. It's gonna happen. We're gonna be back in that series.
Oh, I believe it, Jake.
We're
There's
gonna be
not,
back there.
especially in this crazy world we live in. It's all about that manifesting and
It's gonna
even
happen.
making the 0% into 100%. It is going to happen. I believe it.
And
Was,
what people tell me, they'll still go back and comment on my post from last year and say, "Oh, you were wrong," blah blah blah. It's like, nah, everything I said last year still applies.
yeah, right.
The Astros won one. They won one ring in 60 years. So,
And it's time for us to get that 28th to prove that, like you
yep,
said, the numbers game. I mean, hopefully it doesn't take,
86 years like the Red Sox, but
but it'll happen one way
36
or the
years
other.
like the Mets.
And counting. What do you think about some of these changes in baseball and how they've gone? Obviously, the pitch clock seems to be a big success, bigger bases, removing of the shift. How do you like these new changes in baseball?
Yeah, at first a little hesitant. I mean, I like the beauty of the game, the length of the game, the you know, certain things that make the game what it is, and that's pitchers taking their time, batters stepping out of the box. I understood why they did it, as long as it doesn't affect the outcome of a game tremendously. Like, pitch clock pitch clock violation makes a guy like the spring training game bases loaded, right? Um,
Yeah, the what
uh,
was it, the Phillies and Red Sox or one of those,
yeah.
but
So like, as long as that stuff's not happening, um, I think it's okay because I think it's actually done very well at the start of this season. You're noticing games are a little quicker, and as a fan, it's like okay, I'm okay with this. The base is good. The shift, you're seeing guys like Rizzo have a little bit more success. It's I think the changes were designed to help the game be better, and as long as they're not taking away from it, it seems as of now things are going well, right? So
Mhm.
it's until that pitch clock violation uh, changes the outcome of a game. And also, I I'm not a fan of the ghost runner. I never was,
Me
and
neither.
I don't want it in the playoffs. I don't like that, and that will never change. But other than that, I think everything else is uh, makes sense. And until there's an issue, we saw some issues recently with Scherzer. I don't think he should have been suspended. I think that was clear as day. And uh, he's a guy who's against all that, right? So why would he go out there and purposely, and you guys know I'm not going to be sitting here defending the Mets all day. I think Scherzer's a gamer. That's what he does. He loves to play. He loves to play right. So it's like little things like that. It's hard to, you know, they thought there was something on there. If there wasn't, if it was the alcohol, this stuff, it's like, you know, how do you fix that? Right? It's like it
Yeah,
already
and he
happened.
had
So
to essentially bite the bullet with the. It's hard to really prove it at that point.
yeah,
Especially, I guess I wanted to see him appeal to see how far they go with it, but it is what it is there.
yeah,
I mean, I had the little fun because you know, people that Mets group chat always make fun of Cole do it, but I could always say, well, at least he didn't get kicked out of a game and never blatantly caught, and never and officially indicted himself. But yeah, now if we but to get to your point, if we really, you know, micro not if we really go micromanaging with these rules and stuff, then it is a headache. But we don't want to see people get taken advantage of.
yeah.
But you know, again, this is just still really early. I love the game lengths at least for now. Not in October. Um, I think October is when the length of the game is best suited and it's most dramatic in all
That
sports.
Mariners game last year was some of the best baseball you could ever dream
Yeah,
of. I mean,
and just the hitting of the crowd's getting louder and louder, using those few extra seconds to build the tension. That doesn't get any better than that. So in that sense, it's great. I'm down for games to be less than 3 hours, but in other senses, just compete and make it more fun, and it's easier to make it more marketable. Obviously, we just saw MLB have a very successful World Baseball Classic, and bringing
amazing.
that in, a lot of fun to watch there. Having the game be younger. I haven't made it back to the stadium yet, but I know you there. I'm sure you've seen all these new faces and people just really hyped up baseball, and just seeing stadiums more filled than they were just a year ago in April. That's a great thing to witness.
And back to the World Baseball Classic, I still don't think it's talked about enough. Do you think they could have asked for anything better with Shohei Ohtani striking out?
No,
I mean, come on.
no, they really couldn't, and
It's not talked about
especially
enough.
with the runner on, if I remember correctly, Trout was the tying run, and it really beats that old adage that good pitching beats good hitting, and he just went for it. You love it. You don't see it that much,
Awesome. It was
and
awesome.
I really hope with the any of the boomer criticisms about the World Baseball Classic, like come on, Edwin Diaz, that was a freak injury. It really is too bad. But I mean, the pride of these countries and seeing how big of an influence baseball really has in the entire world, it shows that baseball really isn't dead, and it's in a rejuvenation, a special period.
Well, I always say, every single baseball game that's ever being played at any time on this planet is important. Every single game,
Yeah.
little league, minor league, major league, every game's important. I mean, to think that it's not is ridiculous because as long as you got kids and adults alike playing baseball, I mean, it's the most important game to them. So every single game of baseball means something.
For sure, absolutely. Hey Jay, I was just curious. Just wanted to quickly hit on just quickly some other sports right now.
Okay.
The winter
Oh yeah.
sports. The winter if you remind me, and obviously you're a Yankee fan, do you follow the other three major league sports with basketball, football, and
Yeah,
hockey?
I'm a big football guy. Giants fan.
Yeah.
Shout out though to Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets because I think
Oh,
that's
that's gonna
great
be
for
so
New
much
York.
fun.
It's
That
gonna be
is
awesome.
it. Always been an Aaron Rodgers fan.
Yeah.
Huge, huge Aaron Rodgers fan because I just love how much of an individual he is.
Oh, he's
Adding
a
that,
New York personality. He's ready to go. He
yeah,
thrive here for sure.
absolutely. And it's going to be very excited to see what this Jets team can really pull off. It's very rare when you get a Hall of Famer still in his prime, and literally you now Super Bowl contender out of it.
Yep.
But don't forget with our Giants, they had a very special season,
Yep.
pushing forward. Brian Daboll, Joe Shanair could not have started any better. and adding Darren Waller to the mix, see what happens during the draft. Don't forget, check out the Productive Conversations live stream draft night on Thursday.
Check it out.
Um, thank you. So, but with that, yeah, that's the one thing I rarely say. I'm jealous of the Jet fan to see, but it's gonna be fun to
Well,
cover.
on top of that, Rangers. I'm a Rangers guy. I'm not huge into hockey, but I just love everything about the Rangers and the Garden. And even though there was a video of someone asking me a question of which I thought was better, Barclays or Madison Square Garden, I said the actual stadium of Barclays is better, but I mean nothing beats the atmosphere of the Garden. And when I love basketball, I don't follow it like I do baseball. I always say, oh, I like the Nets because they're associated with the Yankees and yes,
Yeah.
all that. But I mean, I love everything about the Knicks and what they stand for, and
Oh
they,
yeah.
they're the Knicks, right? So it's like I want to see them succeed because I think that's great for New York, and I think when you think of New York sports, it's Yankees, Knicks, Rangers, and Giants. So
That's my of those four, the Knicks, Giants, Rangers, those are the ones that I
and the
jump
Bills. I
with.
mean, got to give some credit to the Bills. They're pretty good up there in Buffalo.
Oh yes. And what a season they had last year and all type of
I love
emotions
Josh
from.
Allen. I love Stephon. So
Yeah, it's great to see DeMar Hamlin overcome
absolutely.
that horrific accident and seeing him come back. But now their division is going to be really tough. But it's really exciting to see. But listen, Jake, you must have helped inspire these Nick fans to go absolutely crazy just winning game 3 and game 4. I think you have something to do with that, Jake.
You know, I I I've seen it. I've seen other people. So I always tell people I say it humbly. There was no one doing what the zoo's doing outside stadiums until we started doing it, and I never saw it happening. So to see it happening at other places now, I'm for it. Like that, I'm
Right?
glad. I'm glad people saw our stuff and were like, "Oh, let me do this outside my stadium." I've had people reach out to me from Houston, Kansas City, I believe St. Louis, and other teams saying, "I want to start this with my team." Let's go. Like, I mean, like I'm glad, like I'm honored that you like our stuff that much. And I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Like there's room for everyone. And I'm glad to see
Yes.
the zoo has had at least some small influence on the social media landscape of sports.
Look at that. And especially for New York, with the exception of New York FC and props to them, they won the MLS Cup in 2019. The out of the major league sports, we haven't won a championship since 2011. And it shows how hungry and how loyal and how passionate New York fans really are. It's been a long time.
But you know what? Let's tell the truth. We win 5 in a row. We'll still act like that. So
Oh, clearly. And especially just, I've met friends in high school and college, and they know my fandoms, and we're hitting almost a decade mark with these friends. And I, whether it's like my friend Brad, who's the most annoying Boston fan in the world, lives in LA and still trolls me every day, seeing literally all his teams win championships. I know some Kansas City fans who go crazy, and it just helps me again growing my skin. And now we're turning around. All the winter sports made the playoffs. Obviously, one is out when the Nets. Islanders seems like they're going to be pushing in, but New York sports, man, it's just a great time to be in New York. A post-pandemic New York City as well. Now a couple of years since we've really been thrown back into society, and in this nice prime, we're around the same age, in our late 20s, and the fact that we're living in this prime time of our lives with New York just driving, it can't get any better.
couldn't ask for more than that.
And another thing I wanted to ask, you mentioned before in terms of just more interactions with people, since we last talked, you just have a whole other archive of more interactions. I was just wondering, has any of them stuck out since we last spoke to you? Have you had any unique interactions? Whether it's you dancing with that elderly Yankee fan I saw, it was her birthday. What was it like? If I remember correctly, I think she was around her 80s, and it was like her first game she's ever been to in a long time. I don't know, like that.
Oh, Gloria.
Yeah, Gloria.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. I
The
remember.
smile you brought on her face was just
Oh,
so
that was
sweet.
awesome. That was awesome. That one definitely stands out for sure. She was great. I love stories like that. I mean, opening day we had so many iconic ones. Uh, the wedding one with the ring, that was a good one.
Oh yeah. Well,
Uh,
can you walk us through for the audience who may or may not know
yeah.
what that story is?
The so last season we were in the middle of our huge crowd, and Caroline, who I've gotten on the zoo a couple times, ran into the crowd and was like, 27 rings plus this one. And I was like, you just got engaged? And
Yeah.
he's like, yeah. I'm like, let's go. And the whole crowd went nuts. And then she came up to me on opening day and I was just describing how she's gonna have like some Yankee aspects in her wedding. And the energies she brought is it's always electric. So that one stood out. Houston, I got some funny ones out there for sure. Definitely ones that made Houston fans mad. And look, I'll say it now. I'll say it 20 years from now. We do not stage anything on the Bronx Zoo. If I did that, I would not be doing this. I don't like fakeness. I don't like making any fake content.
And we
And I
really
asked
could
that,
tell too, especially from your camera angles and
yeah, in my
you do
authentic
interaction like
reaction,
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's obvious. And in all these instances where people are like, "Oh, you edited that," I will literally post the raw footage. Here you go. No, I didn't. And one guy in Houston, I was like, "Who's your favorite Astro?" And he goes, "Tony Dorsett." People are like, "Oh, he's joking around," but that was a quick answer. I don't know about that. So
The
that
Dallas
one
Cowboy legend.
popular. So yeah, I mean, there's and then of course over the off season we had the opportunity to speak with um Oswaldo Cabrera, Michael Kay. That one meant a
Yeah.
lot to me. Goose Gossage, Wade Boggs, Daryl Strawberry, Doc Gooden, and so many more. But those were some cool interactions. But most importantly, I talked to a lot of fans. So
Yeah, and from all ages. I've seen you talk with young Yankee fans to the oldest ones, and just your vast majority of questions, not only Yankee related, but pop culture and all of that. So tying all that into, for those who are doing man on the street, woman on the street, man on the street, and like, what is your advice in trying to get those reactions
yeah.
and coming
So
up to people like that and also doing respectfully? I mean, we don't, I'm sure you've heard of, there's these stories of TikTokers literally getting like beat up or whatever. Do it there. Yeah, I get it for making content, and people have been doing this since like the early 50s. There's the early Tonight shows have people interact on
yeah.
the streets, but what do you do to try to get that genuine reaction out of them?
Yeah, look, I mean, just make it real first off. Be polite, be respectful. I'm never going to be disrespectful to anyone. Why would I? That's just not me as a person. But I don't want to in life or in an interview. I don't want to talk to anybody who doesn't want to talk to me. That's just a basic humanity advice 101. Why would you want to talk to anyone who doesn't want to talk to you? So I never
Right.
pushed like if you don't want to talk to me, okay, moving on. Um, always show respect. Never try and like just talk to someone to just like get a reaction. The best stuff that you can get is people just giving you a reaction naturally.
Yeah.
Like sometimes your question may spark it. Sometimes like the creativity of the Yankee fan base never fails to amaze me. I mean, some of the stuff that people come up with makes me laugh so hard on the spot because it's like, how did you even think of like saying that?
Right.
Did you find me to say that? Did you, just come up with that on the spot? Do you even know what we do? And you just talk to the mic. So come up with unique questions. Do your research. I do a lot of research before games. Some people will be like, "Oh, why are you comparing these two players?" I compared Johan and CC. Who would you want in their prime? Well, when you look at their numbers, they're not too far off, right? So it's like,
Dominant pitchers of their era.
yeah, I mean, like
2000s, you think of them.
you think of those guys in the late 2000s, and I always try and be unique. I never just like will be on like TikTok and hear someone ask a question and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna do that." Like I come up with my own. I've seen some of our questions being asked, and I'm okay with it. Like it's an honor to me. Thank you. We were the first page I ever saw asking people where's upstate New York start, and that does well every single time. No one was asking it beforehand. Now we ask it all the time. I've seen other people asking it, and
What's your answer to that?
upstate New York starts in Poughkeepsie.
Because yeah, I was gonna say I would say Dutchess County and up. That's my
But
answer for it.
I've seen so many people talking about it now after we like kind of went viral on a couple. So I think it's
Mhm.
funny. Like okay, now the conversation's starting to pick up. But yeah, like come up with your own stuff, be unique, and just treat everyone with respect. And if anyone ever, um, you know, isn't into it, move on because there's someone else that will be.
Yeah, there's literally, you know how many people there are in this world. And I think also just understanding and be patient, be patient.
Mm,
Because again, the worst thing is making contact with someone, showing someone awkward and who's awkward and uncomfortable. You don't want that. And you will find people who are, and
yeah,
it's worth it every sense of the way. And also, one thing Eric Andre talked about, he does pranks specifically.
yeah,
Do stuff, don't try to get a laugh. Just try to get a
absolutely.
good reaction. And I heard Brian Cranston talking about that too when he does acting specifically, when he says, um, I don't try to be funny in this comedic scene. I just act it straight with the funny interactions right there. And you'll be surprised. And I mean, look at you. You're an expert at it, and there's only hundreds of hours of that growing even more.
Well, you can ask anyone, my friends, my family, what you see on screen is exactly what you see. Like maybe like high school and college, I wasn't as confident as I am now. Some people would
Same here.
disagree, but I mean, it's truly authentic confidence that you see on that screen now. It's not like, oh, I'm trying to, be someone I'm not. And if you ask any of my friends how I joke around on the zoo, how I talk, like, that's just how I am. I love to have a good time. I love to laugh, and I love to a big part of me is I want to make sure everyone's having a good time. I don't want to be out there and like everyone's like, people are fighting and screaming. Even when we have fans of other teams, you'll always see me try and mediate it. Like, no, they're here, they're just enjoying the game. Yeah, we can make some jokes, but they're at a baseball game. We're all just trying to have fun, and if anything ever gets out of hand, you know, calm the situation down and figure it out.
I like it. I like it. I just wanted just one more thing. Just I wanted to, because of your diverse mind, I just wanted to ask you just a few random pop culture questions
Okay.
in history on your opinion.
Okay.
And we're just gonna show your opinion out here. So
Yeah.
here we go. First, I wanted to ask you, best place to get a slice of pizza in New York City.
Prince Street Pizza, Prince Street, New York.
Prince Street Pizza, Prince Street, New York. Wow, I would say the same thing. You get that perfect square, those big pepperonis.
Borough Square. Unbelievable.
Can you tell me your Mount Rushmore cereals?
Of cereals.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a huge cereal guy growing up, but I can give you my favorites. Reese's Puffs,
Classic.
Cookie Crisp,
Mm.
Raisin Bran Crunch.
Raisin, really?
I
And you're
loved
not
it.
a boomer saying that, huh?
Yeah,
I
I
like
loved
it.
it. But Raisin Bran Crunch,
Oh, crunch, crunch. Yes, that
uh,
that I have to make that a difference right
that's
there.
big difference. And then oh, maybe the Oreo one.
Yeah,
Remember
the
the
Oreo. I don't know if they even make those anymore, but I know what
uh,
you're talking about. For me, I would say cinnamon toast crunch,
okay.
Cheerios, regular Cheerios, Lucky Charms,
Okay.
and then Fruity Pebbles. Even though I know every
All right.
time I'm just adding all that sugar, but what can I say? It's a
I
great
respect it.
gift.
Good list.
What's the best baseball movie?
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams.
Yep.
Obviously, the classic Kevin Costner. Even though it's a movie, but it's really a movie about father and son.
I mean, like, look, I love Sandlot. I love Major League. I love Moneyball. But Field of Dreams, when you get down to it, I mean, Sandlot kind of is that baseball movie that is like your childhood baseball, love of
So
baseball.
nostalgic.
Absolutely. And I love it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But Field of Dreams to me, the music, the story, the meaning behind it, right? When you think of baseball, just the idea that baseball can be played anywhere, the connection
Yeah,
of
right.
fathers and sons. I mean, how many people out there can have that story of their dad, their grandparent, love of baseball, right? Family connection, right? Everyone
Hmm.
has that love somehow. And I think that the deeper meaning of it is, you know, people will come and the time I'm not trying to continuously bring it back to the zoo, but the other day my
Yeah,
mom,
feel free. No
I
problem there.
I was talking with my mom, and like sometimes it's not all sunshine and rainbows, a rocky quote right there. Like, I'm trying to build this brand, and I'm never gonna lie to people and tell them it's always easy. It's things aren't going my way a lot of the time, and I'm trying to be positive and optimistic. And it seems like sometimes your dreams are getting farther out of reach when you're really, really trying. And I think a lot of people relate to that, and I've experienced that the past couple months for a variety of reasons, and I just continuously push forward. And in the past couple weeks, I haven't been down on it per se, but you get frustrated. And my mom said to me recently, people will come. She was quoting Field of Dreams. She said, people will come. You build it, people will come. And that really meant a lot to me. I was like, you know what, Mom? You're right.
That's as
Continue to
wholesome
build it.
as it gets, man. I know how you feel. Sometimes you just make content busting out shows all the time. I realize how human and normal it is every time. Not that you doubt yourself, but you're like, man, sometimes it could be a lot, but then you realize that's when I realized the importance of deep breaths, or just like I took my first week off in about like 8 months just to rejuvenate and be better. You need that, and it makes yourself better, and it's okay to feel all types of emotions. Just remember your ultimate goal.
Well, I mean, you've been doing this for a couple years, right? Like you
That's right, about
continue to
two and a
push
half
it out,
years.
and you've seen it grow, right? Like you've seen it, continuously step up, and you're trying. And I mean, I can relate to that. I had a podcast, and I did a podcast called Get Up and Get Better. And even me on my end, I'm trying to grow and grow. And when I did the podcast, I would make 30-minute episodes and get 4 views, like on YouTube.
Mm.
And if you look it up, it's like I still remember what it was like to have no one watching. And sometimes I put out videos that no one's like really picking up on. So
Mhm.
it's like it's a continuous fight. It's never going to change, but you got to love the journey as much as the result.
Oh yeah. And well, we have your support if you ever want to delve back into that. And it's also never too late either.
Podcast game, all right, sounds good.
Especially with just grow of the zoo. And like I said, ultimately I want this podcast to be a network, and it is a solid 10-year plan.
You
And
have a better podcast voice than me.
oh, how can I compete with yours? We'll both appreciate the great voices God's gave us. And
Absolutely.
we just put it out there, and because the more you grow, it's always practice. I'm a Mr. Beast who's making literally tens of millions of dollars. He said he really didn't start monetizing until his 400th video. 400, that is a lot. It's
That's crazy.
217 here. Well, I guess we're halfway there, but regardless,
Yeah,
we're doing it because
217. That's impressive.
thank you. This will be 218, but yeah. Um,
Johnny Damon,
yes, sir. Johnny Damon. I can't think of any other Yankees at 18. Johnny Damon and well,
Jeter and Damon, 218. There we go.
there we go. Exactly. And yeah, we do it because I like talking with people like you. I like practicing this craft, and it's only going to lead to better things.
Yeah.
There's a few more of these pop culture questions.
Okay.
What was one of the most disappointing movies you ever saw from start to finish?
I literally the one movie that just popped in my head when you asked the question was Superman versus Batman.
Superman
Um,
versus Batman, the Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck.
and
Okay.
Affleck, I was so excited for that movie. I was so excited. I thought it was gonna be great, and it was just not good at all. And it was, I mean, I was just like, what the hell was that? Like, it made no sense. It was just like a disaster of a
So
film.
dark. It was a real dark movie. Like
I
literally,
mean,
you
there's some
can't even
movies that
see it.
you could like, oh, I thought it was gonna be a little bit better. Movie I saw recently that wasn't disappointing. I thought it actually deserved a little bit more love the more I thought about it. Babylon. Um,
Yeah, the Damien Chazelle.
Damien Chazelle, I'm a huge
Funny you
fan.
say that.
It was great. I
Yeah,
thought it would be a little bit better, but thinking about it more, it was great.
exactly. So when I did my Oscars pod, and
Okay.
I told Chris Bailey, who's my correspondent, who's just on Law and Order, um, and he's also going to be in the new Jennifer Lawrence movie that's coming out in June. He has a bit part and a speaking role, so
Very
we
cool.
appreciate Chris Bailey. So I told him the most disappointing movie for me was Babylon because of this large scale, proven director, amazing cast. but sometimes I just felt it was a little too much. I thought it was too long. I thought there was too many storylines and characters to keep up with.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, I loved it, and I just love any period piece. But also, if you've seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
similar plots. This is the 20s, this is the 60s of just
Yeah.
you have one up and coming star, one star on the decline, and one trying to figure it out. So having
Brad
all
Pitt
those
and
things
Margot
come
Robbie were
together,
in both.
yeah, is it funny how that works? But I just like you said, I just thought it'd be better, but I still thought it was a good movie. I just wanted it to be great.
I love the music.
Oh man, classic. Love that beat,
Beautiful.
that swing jazz feel. Pretty great stuff. And probably the most disappointing movie I saw, I'm gonna get real indie on this. I
Okay.
saw a movie called a documentary actually. It was called Meet Me in the Bath. It was about the early 2000s indie rock scene post 9/11. Like this was when pretty much it was about, you know how there was that real move that what's the word I'm looking for? But all people moved to Brooklyn in the 2000s, starting that trend. It's died down a little. Well, remember people around our age started moving to Brooklyn. It was pretty much about that and the music scene. So they talk about the Strokes, LCD Sound System, bands like that. And I really wanted to learn who that Fuss was. And it was just all over the place. I just felt it was a real collage instead of a documentary with a story. But it was still interesting footage and you know.
If you want to watch a good documentary, I just watched Facing Nolan Ryan documentary.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that. That's on
Phenomenal.
Netflix.
It was
I heard good things about it, and the Reggie Jackson doc was really good.
Reggie was great, and then the Willie Mays one just came out as well. That was great.
Yes, I watched it with my dad. Loved that one.
It was
And
awesome. Facing
how about
Nolan was great.
I believe it. I've heard good things about it. The baseball doc. Nothing beats a good sports doc.
Nothing
Oh,
entertaining as
now just two more questions about culture. There are 8 Rocky films, technically. Well, right. Well, 3 Creed, 6
there
Rocky,
are there
nine.
there there are 9 Rocky films.
You got to tell me which one's the best.
Rocky 2. Well, okay,
Ooh, I like that wild card
wait.
pick.
The best is Rocky 1. My favorite is Rocky 2. My ranking is Rocky 2, Rocky 1, Rocky 4,
Mm-hmm.
Rocky 3, Creed, um, Rocky Balboa, Creed 2, Creed 3, Rocky 5. That's like my favorites. But best made, I think you go Rocky 1, Creed 1, Rocky 2, Rocky Balboa, and then it can kind of move around the mon like there's so many different conversations you could have in that.
Right.
I absolutely love the Rocky and the Creed movies. I think both of even Creed 3 was phenomenal.
Still
Showed a
have
lot
to
of
see that.
it showed a lot of respect to the Rocky franchise. I thought Michael B. Jordan did a great job. Jonathan Majors was outstanding. But Rocky 2 to me, kind of, I mean, Rocky 1 is the greatest film ever made. It's nothing in my mind. I mean, Godfather, you could have a conversation because I like the
Hmm.
Godfather as well. But happy birthday, Al Pacino, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that.
But
83 years old. Look at
83
that.
years old.
Happy birthday to Al Pacino. I just saw for the first time. You ever see him in the movie Cruising?
No,
It's a very, very dark movie. I
I'll
thought
watch
it was good. So just before you get to your point, it's about an undercover cop
it. Okay,
who is trying to catch this serial killer who's targeting gay men in like the meatpack district, like the leather scene in the late 70s.
okay.
And he goes undercover to try to infiltrate him. And it's a very intriguing film about like morals and how your environment influences you. It's only 100 minutes, so you can easily knock it out. Very, very good. But
I mean,
you
Al Pacino's. I mean, you have Godfather, Scarface, and Heat. Heat is an underrated Al Pacino movie.
yes, it is.
Underrated.
Best shootout scene of all times in that.
Oh man, it's outstanding. So anything Pacino does,
And
you have
Jack and Jill,
Serpico, uh, you got so many. He's a legend. So
dude, the Jack and Jill, even though I know it's a terrible
Jack and
movie,
Jill Duncatino.
but yes, that makes me laugh every time. And then he says, "Burn this" to Adam Sandler.
Yeah, he's awesome. I love
But you were back to the Rocky franchise.
Oh yeah, no, so yeah, Rocky 1's the greatest. But for the reason I love Rocky 2 so much is because Rocky 1, he just wants to go the distance, right? And we all want to go the distance. And you can say, like, I want to go to the distance. That's all I want in life. But once you go the distance, you want to win. Like that's humanity. You want to be a winner at the end of the day. And he starts fighting for the right reasons. I mean, the love of his life supports him.
Hmm.
His trainer is on board, and I love the training montage in Rocky 2 for two reasons. Rocky 2, there's two things that I love the most. In the park, you've seen Rocky 2, I assume.
Oh yeah,
When
I've
he's in
seen
the
all
park,
I've seen them all except Creed 3, which I plan to
okay.
see.
So in Rocky 2, when he's in the park during the training montage and he has the log on his back and he drops it and he takes a break and then the dun 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 dun, that music cues in. No one is watching him in the park. He could give up. There's no one watching. You just as the audience member are seeing it. So I love that he picks it back up with no one watching, like just like Rocky 1 when he gets back up with the entire world watching. To me, I think you tie those together and that's a huge lesson. Like when anyone's watching or no one's watching, you put in the same amount of work. And then Rocky 2, all the kids running behind him, and he is leading the way
Hmm.
for the entire world. I mean, that short sprint that he does to the Rocky steps with the shot, and then it expands out, and you see the every kid behind him. To me, that symbolizes what the greatest character that's ever been written is all about, Rocky. So
It doesn't get any better than the Rocky franchise, and it's one of the few movie franchises that really grab the culture and like really can bring a family together. Like that's one of the few movie franchises like this is like a true family movie. Like the Rocky franchise is for me, maybe Star Wars for others or stuff like that. But yeah, really the Rocky movies are special. And one of the most underrated movie lines ever is in Rocky 2 when he says, "Yo, Adrian, I did it."
yep.
Big smile every time.
Well, it's also Talia Shire's birthday, and
Oh,
happy
is it
birthday.
really?
Yes, it is.
No way.
So,
Happy
Adrian,
birthday to
happy
her.
birthday.
The two Godfather stars, huh?
Yeah. Yep. Connie.
Yes. I will. Then you know what's funny about Rocky 4?
Okay.
It is, I think, a lot of people now fundamentally, if you're looking at it as a film, it's not really that good. It's only it's like a few scenes and montages.
It's amazing, but because the only thing that matters is that the fans like it.
Exactly. That's what. Let me put it this way. My film professors wouldn't like Rocky 4, if you know what I mean.
Okay. I
Like,
know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
but oh yeah, but it's a fun movie. Like I like it, and it's fast, but and it Rocky Ivan Drago versus Rocky Balboa, one of the greatest fiction moments in the history of fiction battles ever. And that's just always one of the most fun watches you can have.
Well, I'll just say this: your film professors are wrong.
Oh, I wish I could say it to their face with some of them, especially. Aha, man. My final question for you, Jake, before we wrap it up is met a lot of great Yankees specifically.
Hmm?
You mentioned the list before. Who haven't you met yet that you would love to? And you could pick three Yankees who you would love to meet and maybe have a dinner with them and just talk it out.
Um, yeah. So I mean, I've met. I'm so grateful that I've met so many Yankees. The two that come to mind that I haven't met yet are Andy Pettit and Jorge. Those are the
Hmm.
two biggest guys that I haven't met yet. So I would love to meet them. I mean, they're part of the core four. I loved Pettit, loved Posada. I gratefully met Jeter, met Mariano a couple times. So I'd say that the list has kind of came down to Jorge and Andy. Now all time, three Yankees I want to go to dinner with. It's going to be number one, Derek Jeter. Um, Number two might be a little bit up for debate, but I want to talk to Thurman Munson. I just think he's a really interesting
Wow.
character in Yankees history.
Yeah.
Mantle, Babe Ruth, you know you're gonna have a good time with him, right? You know it's gonna be a fun night. But if I want to,
Real
I feel
funny.
like I have a lot of conversations starters that I'd want to have with Thurman about being a captain, being a family man. I mean, what the stories you hear about him are very, very fascinating.
Yeah,
And
like go to Cleveland in the middle of series, is fly out there
just to see
for
his
that.
family, I mean, that sounds like a guy I want to talk to. And then lastly, Joe DiMaggio, because I want to know what it was like to be the most famous athlete on earth and to be married to the most famous person on earth. I think that's
Yeah,
interesting.
in a world pre-social media
Oh my
and
God, I
like
can't even imagine.
as luxury as it got. That's another thing you can say with Mickey Mantle too. He's as big as he was as big as it got in the 50s. And the funny thing you say about Thurman too, and he arguably helped start. He was the very first piece in turning the Yankee franchise around. I mean, they were as bad as it could get in the late 60s, early 70s, and it all really started with him. And
Yeah.
rest in peace. And he'll never be forgotten. Be a special one there. And yeah,
Quick question though.
I would love
I
to
use it
meet.
on the zoo if you're okay with that.
Oh, you have my permission. You
Okay.
have it here. We have it on
Sounds
we
good.
have it on camera for it. And yeah, I think I would love to meet Jeter. I'd love to meet Aaron Judge. And I also would love to meet Mickey Mantle too. I know those are
Those
three
are your
easy ones,
three.
but that's who I have a lot to say for those guys. Yeah. And
That's an
we'll put
amazing.
an honorable mention with A-Rod. I would just love a real honest conversation
Yeah.
and like maybe that conversation would be better in another 10, 15 years,
Mhm.
with the very complicated relationship he has with the Yankee fan base and stuff. But we know 2009 is not possible without him. I would
Absolutely.
love to speak and kick it with him. And I'd also like to talk with Yogi Bear. I'll achieve a little.
Oh yeah, that he's got to be on there too. I feel like that's hard. His journey around baseball was that documentary's coming out too.
Yeah, and also World War II was in the battle. He was on D-Day. Like, I mean, that's already a hero in itself. And then
Absolutely.
what a story. And I like the connection with him and Phil Rizzuto. And
Yep.
like they would hang out, once they got into even all the way
Phil,
to the end.
yeah, he
So
was in like assisted living. He would go play cards with
yeah,
him every day.
isn't that as great as it gets?
That just shows the bond that you can have as a teammate.
Love it. Of it. Every single second of it. And I loved every single second of this conversation, Jake. I really
Right.
appreciate you coming on. Tell us once again where we can find your content.
The Bronx Zoo, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Jake Kosack on TikTok.
We love it, Jake. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with
Thank
me.
you all.
And hopefully I get to see you really soon in person or here, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate it very much, and I'll be back.
Looking forward to it. The great Jake Kosack, everybody. Check him out.